Again, if you're new here, hi, welcome to the show. Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for coming back if you've been here before, or hi, welcome if you're new. My name is Mickey. I am a therapist and we talk about therapist-y things on this channel. Today, we're talking about New Year's resolutions. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about New Year's resolutions, and so I want to talk about them, but there's also like fun tips and tricks. I hate the word hacks, but like I guess hacks would fit here because there's really interesting brain science and psychology stuff about goal setting and goal achievement. And as a lady who helps other people set and accomplish their goals, I feel qualified to run my mouth about this. So we're talking about that. Full disclosure, this was supposed to go up last week, but like shit happens. In fact, shit is still happening. We're actually recording this on a weeknight. Just got home from my day job of therapizing people, and we're re-recording this because we had issues with the other footage. So if you can see the dry shampoo in my hair, mind your own business. So we are going to talk about some, like I mentioned, tips and tricks for setting and accomplishing actually feasible goals in relation to New Year's resolutions and all of that stuff. But before we do that, we have to address the diet culture bullshit elephant in the room, because I want to be super clear. There is a lot of like discussion and interest in why New Year's resolutions fail and like why people are, you know, so bad at accomplishing their goals. And I want to differentiate like regular New Year's resolutions from diet New Year's resolutions, because there's different explanations for those. And I want to be super clear about that, and also like give a little bit of caution in regards to the diet culture bullshit aspect of that. If you are new here, hi, welcome to the channel. This is a fat positive space. If you've been here before, you know that I am not a fan of diet culture or anything, and so you probably won't be surprised to know that I'm not a fan of people setting New Year's resolutions related to diet and weight loss and all of that stuff. From the statistics that I was able to dig up, we are able to see that around 50% of the New Year's resolutions that people set are related to diet and weight loss and like eating healthier. So this is an important topic for us to talk about because these are very common. This is something we see a lot of advertising about. Fuck you, Noom. You're still a diet and you still suck. And so I want to unpack that a little bit. I think the thing first and foremost that I want to get out of the way, we know that 95% of people who pursue intentional weight loss will gain that weight back within a 5-year period. This is not at all related to a lack of willpower, to you not trying hard enough, to you being a shit, or you being like a big fatty fat who sucks. Like, it's not that at all. Diets as a culture, as an industry, as a vehicle for weight loss are just generally very unsuccessful. We know that the diet industry is structured this way on purpose, actually, because in order to keep customers continuing to come back and continuing to make money, diet companies and companies that sell diet products and services have a vested interest in making sure that their products eventually fail, so that you can be gaslighted by their bullshit advertising and then fed this rhetoric about willpower and like just try again and come back and buy more bullshit.
See you soon.
It's important for us to acknowledge this because, like I said, we're going to talk about tips and tricks and some cool brain psychology stuff for goal setting and goal achievement. But I want to be clear that information is meant to be used for good and not evil, and for like other goal accomplishment and not related to diet culture stuff. Even if you try to apply the tips and tricks that we're going to talk about in a minute to diet culture stuff, you will not see a change in your long-term outcome or results, because we can't game a system that is broken on purpose. And so if you are a person who is struggling with some feelings about yourself or your body, or you're feeling some type of way about dieting and all of that stuff, I strongly want to encourage you to use the links that are in my description to find a wonderful and validating therapist who can help you work through that. I will also link in the description the Health at Every Size directory, because that's a fabulous place to find fat positive or weight neutral providers of all different fields, but especially for therapists, dietitians, nutritionists, like all of those types of things. And so, like I mentioned, if you are feeling some type of way, I would encourage you to use those resources, because this video is not about that. It's not meant for that. Again, this is a fat positive place and will always be a fat positive place, and we unapologetically reject diet culture bullshit here. So like I mentioned, I very much disagree with all of the diet culture related bullshit in terms of New Year's resolutions and all of that stuff, but that doesn't mean that I think all goal setting is bad. Full transparency, I'm not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions generally. I don't love the kind of yucky, shamey attitude that comes out around this time of year, especially the like new year, new me thing. not a fan. I think you're wonderful and fabulous exactly the way that you are. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to continue to grow and continue to evolve as a person, but rejecting former versions of ourselves as less than or not good enough is fundamentally unhelpful when we talk about growing in a sense of self-esteem and feeling confident and at peace with ourselves. So I would encourage anyone who is thinking about setting a New Year's resolution or has already set one, because we're late making this video, to do some real no bullshit reflection about where those goals are coming from. If you're wanting to set New Year's resolutions from this place of enriching your life and adding light and love and happiness and joy to yourself or to your relationships, like, great, that's wonderful. Obviously, I want to be supportive of that. If your New Year's resolutions are fixated on correcting a perceived problem, though, I would encourage you, again, to do some reflection about that and to maybe process that with your therapist if you have one, or to open a conversation with your safe and trusted people, because it's very much possible for us to pursue evolution and growth and change from a place that is safe and validating, and not from this place of like, I suck, I'm not good enough, I need to change in order to be worthy or to be better. Again, if you're new here, hi, welcome to the show. This is a place where I think it's very important for us to be clear that you are always good enough and that you don't need to change anything fundamentally about yourself in order to be worthy of love and belonging. And so I really want to encourage people to approach New Year's resolution setting from, again, a place of adding enrichment in life, and like joy to your life. The other quick caveat that I want to give here is that the tips and tricks and like brain psychology stuff that we're going to talk about is mostly applicable to neurotypical people. I know that this is like a big hole in the research. I did find a couple of resources, and so we are going to talk about things for neurodivergent folks later, or like in addition, I guess. But I think it's also important for me to honor that this is a hole that exists in the research. So if you try to use some of these tips and tricks and you're a neurodivergent person, and you notice that they're not particularly helpful to you, again, not because you suck, not because you're not trying hard enough or you're not motivated enough, it's just that the research really needs to do a better job at being inclusive. And so, you know that going in. All of that said, I want to talk about two facets of goal setting that I think are important and like helpful when we talk about New Year's resolutions. The first of which being a fun, fancy therapist acronym called SMART goals. We're going to put the acronym up on the screen right now so we can talk about what that means, but also the definitions for those things. SMART goals stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. This is a very common acronym that therapists use in treatment with clients because we are actually, depending on where you're licensed and like what your rules and statutes are, we are required to set goals for our clients that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. One of the necessary and like non-negotiable parts of therapy is creating a treatment plan. And so when we do that, like I said, depending on where you're licensed and like what all your provisions are, we are required to make sure that the goals we set for our clients aren't setting them up for failure. And the SMART acronym helps us do that. So let's break down what those mean. I think that this is most helpful for us to do in like an example type of format. I'm a person who likes examples, so we're using an example. If we say, like, for example, my goal or my resolution for the new year is to be kinder to myself. Great, that's like coming from a wonderful place, but like, how do you do that? This is something that is very common with New Year's resolutions, is to be both very vague and very ambitious. Not that being kinder to yourself is ambitious per se, but like the tendency is to set goals that are very vague and very ambitious. So the SMART acronym helps us narrow in on something that's more targetable, more specific, and more actually achievable. So making that goal specific would look like narrowing in on an actual action that you can perform that would create this feeling of being kinder to yourself. So maybe that's spending time with your best friend. Maybe that's using coping strategies that are more healthy or helpful to you in moments of stress. Maybe that is embracing joyful movement. I don't know, like there's lots of different ways that you could be kind to yourself, right? But narrow in on a specific action, figure out what it is that means. The measurable piece of this basically just helps us figure out whether or not we actually did the thing or not. When we have a very specific identifiable action, it's very easy for that to be measurable. The time sensitive aspect of this is also important because if we are setting the goal for like, I don't know, all of 2022, that's not very time sensitive. That doesn't really set you up for success. But if your goal in being kinder to yourself is to spend more time with your best friend once every 2 weeks, then it's very easy to measure whether you've done that or not. once every 2 weeks, did you actually do the thing or did you not? Attainable and relevant are a little bit more amorphous, and these will vary from person to person. Attainable essentially refers to whether or not the goal is actually something that you can do. So for example, if my goal for the year was to be kinder to myself and I identified my specific action as moving to Costa Rica by February 1st.
I am moving to Costa Rica.
But I don't have any money, I don't have a passport, I don't have any transportation, I have a crippling fear of getting on an airplane, and I have nowhere to live when I get to Costa Rica. That might not be a super attainable goal. And so we might be setting ourselves up for failure. The attainable piece is intended to make sure that we are keeping our expectations in a realistic realm. And so if you want to move to Costa Rica to be kinder to yourself, great. But maybe we need to set smaller objectives leading up to the actual act of moving to Costa Rica by like December of 2022 and gradually chunk away at all of the things that we need to get done in order to achieve this target goal. The relevant piece is again related to that reflection. So we want to make sure that we're setting goals that are actually applicable to the things that fucking matter to you. If you want to set a goal to be, kinder to yourself, but you set your specific action to be, taking time once a week to cross stitch because you perceive that to be a nice self-care activity, like, great, except that if you hate fucking cross-stitching, that's not really helping you. You know what I'm saying? The relevant piece is really important here because it has to be a goal that actually resonates with the things that matter to you, that stir up your insides, that make you passionate about life, because this is also a very useful part of goal achievement. When we have skin in the game and we really care about something, it's a whole lot fucking easier to put rubber to road and do the thing, especially when we talk about smaller objectives, which we're going to get into in a second. Okay, hello friends. Please enjoy some puppy B-roll for a sec because I forgot to talk about time sensitive in the video for some reason. As a concept, time sensitive I think is fairly obvious. Essentially, we're referring to the idea of attaching a firm timetable to the goal. Like I said, I know that this sounds kind of obvious, but you'd be surprised how often people are out here setting goals with no specific time attached. And I say this with no shade, by the way. I am very much the person who has done this, still does this. There's no shame in that. It's a very human thing. It's very common. But the time sensitive aspect is helpful because when we attach that specific timetable, again, like I mentioned, it's helpful in making sure that we are able to measure whether we did the thing or not. But like we're going to talk about in the routine building section in a sec, it's also a great way to make sure that we are maintaining regular and consistent progress. I would encourage you to set a timetable that is shorter rather than longer because the tendency is to get to like November or December and go, oh fuck, I forgot about this New Year's resolution, or I didn't make any progress towards this New Year's resolution. So setting a specific time that is, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, something to that effect can be a great tool. But really the most important piece is that you're setting a time that works for you, and that promotes regular buy-in. So I hope that helps. Okay, back to the video. Bye. Okay, so the second piece of like brain science stuff that I wanted to talk about is routine building. One of the best ways that we can maintain regular and consistent progress with goal achievement is by setting up a clear routine that's easy for us to maintain. I already mentioned that the tendency with New Year's resolutions is to set goals that are super vague and also very ambitious. This, in my opinion, is one of the reasons that a lot of New Year's resolutions fail, because if you're not giving yourself a clear and identifiable action, but you're also setting your expectations like at the fucking roof, like how are you supposed to get there? What are the small steps that you're supposed to take in between here and there to do the thing? And so what happens is we get overwhelmed, our motivation naturally wanes over time, and we're like, never mind, fuck it, I don't want to, right? This is very human. I super want to normalize this behavior because it is very common, it's very human, it's very normal, and again, this is not a sign that you suck or that you're not motivated enough or that you're not trying hard enough. None of that is true. I super duper want to be clear that goal setting is actually very hard. This is one of the reasons that therapists learn so much about it and are also a very valuable resource, in addition to all the other cool stuff we do. But we're also great at helping people set realistic and achievable goals because we don't really get a lot of education about it as like normies. So again, in this whole process, I really want to encourage you to be kind to yourself. So when we talk about routine building, essentially what I'm talking about is taking your big goal for like the whole year. So your big New Year's resolution, if that's to be kinder to yourself by spending time with your best friend once a week, we want to zoom in on that and parcel that down into goals, or like the therapy word is objectives, into objectives that are a lot smaller and a lot easier for you to accomplish at regular intervals. This is why the routine is particularly important, and this is why I said that this is not necessarily super useful for neurodivergent folks, because we know that routines are particularly difficult for neurodivergent friends. But neither here nor there. Routine building is basically creating a framework for you to, like I said, take that big goal and break it down into small, manageable pieces. Very much the energy of like, how does one eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's that kind of a thing. So if your goal is to spend time with your best friend once a week, I really want to encourage people to take that big goal and break it down into something that feels like so embarrassingly, insultingly small. This is a thing I sit with my clients and have them go through the process of like, what feels like the smallest possible objective that you can set for this thing, and then make it smaller. Because when we talk about goal setting, the number one thing that is going to happen for most people is that when we first start, your motivation is going to be up here. But over time, by like July, October, your motivation is going to be down here. And so we want to make sure that the objectives we're setting for you in between don't require a motivation that's up here. That's very unrealistic and also a little bit unfair. We can gradually increase the difficulty of your objectives if that's necessary, but I would really encourage people to lead with this energy of setting yourself up for success in this capacity. So again, for example, if your goal is to spend time with your best friend once a week, your initial objective might be just to send a text message to your friend saying, hey, we should spend more time together. And that's it. That's your only goal for the week. That's the only thing that you need to accomplish, because what happens is we make that super duper duper easy to accomplish, and then we accomplish it and we feel really good. And that feels really exciting. And it's very encouraging and motivating. And what that does is help to keep your motivation level a little bit higher and more sustained over time. And so folks who do need to like ratchet up the difficulty of their objectives will have an easier time doing that. But even if you don't, it also helps to maintain regular and consistent use of your routine throughout the year. Basically, what we're talking about is structuring your goal setting in such a way that we're able to give your brain regular dopamine hits so that you have like the feel good happy times happening, because it feels good for you and it also encourages you to go back to the behavior. We know from research that this is a consistent and reliable way to sort of this is why I said I hate the word hack, but like hack is a good word here. The chemistry that your brain is like naturally attuned to, we like that feeling. We like the happy chemicals. And so if we can create a way that you're consistently receiving those, that's a great way to ensure that your brain is going to A, remember that, but B, incentivize you to come back to that behavior over and over again. I mentioned before that we we're going to talk a little bit about neurodivergent folks, and so this is a section that like a subsection that I want to quickly dedicate some time to talking about that, because like I said, the idea of consistent routine setting might not be realistic for folks who are neurodivergent, but that doesn't mean that you are like up shit creek and unable to set goals. There are things that can be helpful depending on what neurodivergency you're working with. And so I want to be clear, I am not a person who specializes in neurodivergency. This is not a topic that I speak about at length. I do have things linked in the description for you guys to go check that out, so that you guys can get some more information and like research about it. But as a person who lives with neurodivergency and also has like a broad strokes knowledge about this, here's some like general tips and tricks. For folks with ADHD, one of the things that can be helpful is creating a sense of novelty or newness around the goal setting. We know that people with ADHD tend to feel very frustrated and easily bored by monotony, and so creating a sense of newness around that activity is very useful. This might look like having a person whose job it is to check in with you on a regular basis, and whose responsibility or like commitment, if they want to do that, is to help you create that sense of newness. Because again, we know that people with ADHD have poor object permanence. And so having that accountability buddy, but also somebody who's there to help you create that sense of newness, can be a great resource. In reference to the object permanence issue, it can also be really helpful to use things in your physical environment as memory triggers. I routinely encourage my clients to do things like put Post-it notes on the mirror where you brush your teeth, or like on the toilet, on the refrigerator, on the back side of your front door, like anywhere that you're going to see every day. Put one on your actual cell phone and then change the location of those Post-it notes on a regular basis. This is why it can be helpful to have an accountability buddy or like a teammate. But utilizing all of these things in ways that create that sense of newness and help to keep your brain like focused and engaged over time is a really useful way to make sure that we're continuing to get that buy-in. The other caveat that I want to give here is that this process for neurodivergent folks can be super, super useful to do in therapy with a therapist, both because it's kind of a head trip to go through the process of New Year's resolution. It's like kind of emotional and like a little bit of a tenuous time. So if you have self-esteem stuff already, highly want to encourage you to go to therapy. But also, again, therapists are great at goal setting. And so finding a therapist who specializes in your neurodivergency might be a great resource for you. And like I said, there's always links in the description for those things. As a last like helpful tidbit for neurodivergent folks, whether you have ADHD or autism or another neurodivergency, with the goal setting, I want to encourage people to take stock of what your natural inclinations or strengths are. What are the things that you feel drawn to? What are the things that tend to excite your brain? And make an effort to structure your goal setting around that, because a lot of times the rhetoric that we see with goal setting, and especially New Year's resolutions, is trying to just like force a round or a square peg into a round hole. And neurodivergent folks a lot of times feel pressure to do things in a neurotypical way. That's probably not going to work for you. And also, even if it does, it's probably going to be very uncomfortable. And so you deserve to structure your goal setting in a way that not only works for you, but also plays to the things that feel natural and that feel intuitive to you. And so again, I want to encourage you to do some reflection about what things naturally excite your brain, what things you naturally find yourself drawn to, and make an effort to sort of fold that into your New Year's resolution.
Fold in the cheese.
Like I mentioned, all of the links for that are in the description. And so I would encourage you guys to go read the things and go see the resources and the research and stuff for yourself. All of that said, that's the stuff that I prepared for today about New Year's resolutions. I hope that this was helpful or interesting or, encouraging for you. Above all else, I want to encourage people to be kind and compassionate to yourself with goal setting, because like I said, there's lots of like yucky, shamey, kind of gross bullshit about goal setting and New Year's resolutions, and especially like the diet culture bullshit. So be wary, be mindful of the places that you are receiving that information from, and just give yourself room to breathe. Time is a fucking illusion anyway, so who really cares? I don't think you need to reinvent yourself or set yourself up for like trying to be a whole new person every year. It's perfectly okay if your goal setting is like small and incremental, or like if you have no goals at all. But anyways, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We have stuff like this, but we also do a cute therapist reacts moment every now and again. So subscribe and click the notification bell if you want to see when we upload, and then share the video to help the channel grow and to help each other grow. And I will see you guys next Saturday. Okay, bye.